Hi, welcome back. This is part 2 of the introductory video course for ENDE 101. In this video, I'm going to talk about how this course works, kind of how it's broken up and what some of the rules are. So the class is broken up into 5 sections. This week is just an introduction to what the course is and how it works, which is why you're watching these videos. In the next 2 weeks, weeks 2 and 3, we're going to learn about user-centered design and ask the question, why should we design digital media with humans in mind, with the audience that we're designing it for in mind? Why would it be important to make them the center of our efforts? And then in weeks 4 through 9, we're going to learn about how to do that. So it's really important to design digital media with the people who are going to be consuming it in mind. Weeks 4 through 9 is how do we do that? How do we design it in a way that keeps them in mind? In weeks 10 through 12, we're going to look at the effects that digital media have on their audiences. So it's like that Spider-Man saying, right? With great power comes great responsibility. When we have the power to create digital media or platforms that disseminate digital media, we have a responsibility to keep the end user in mind, to keep the consumer in mind. And we're going to look at some of the effects that digital media has had on us as consumers. We're going to look at, how digital media can literally drive us to have behaviors that maybe we wouldn't do if we weren't consuming the digital media. We're going to look at how digital media can actually cause us to think in different ways and think differently than if we are, for example, consuming non-digital media, like reading a book. So there'll be some interesting things in weeks 10 through 12 to look at about the effect that digital media designs are having on society, including ourselves. In weeks 13 through 16, you're going to take all of that and you're going to create a creative or research project that looks at some aspect of digital media. So I put down here, you're going to design something. You're going to use that human-centered design process that you learned in weeks 4 through 9, and you're going to apply it to something that interests you. You could even apply it to one of the things we study in weeks 10 through 12. So the last sort of month and a half of the course is taking everything we've learned about digital media, what it is, why it's important, how we design it, and making things that demonstrate your understanding of those aspects of digital media. A few rules for the course. So I hate grading. I called this first section Mastery Learning / I hate grading. It's so dumb. I love giving feedback, but I find that grades are sort of punitive and it's not really how the real world works, right? If I go into work and so right now where I work, I'm designing virtual software for virtual offices so that people who are working from home can work together in a virtual space in a way that doesn't suck and isn't isolating. If I design something, like let's say I design a new way for people to call each other and it doesn't work, I don't just get an F. I don't just get fired or something, right? We look at the fact that it didn't work and it's my responsibility to try again. And I learn from why it didn't work and I try a different way of getting this feature out, a different way of helping people call each other, whatever it is. So that's my approach to these courses. And it's an approach called Mastery Learning. So in the education space, we call it Mastery Learning, where I'm looking for you to demonstrate mastery of concepts and skills, not necessarily try to get something right on the first try. So you're going to have the opportunity to redo assignments because, again, if you try something and it didn't work, you didn't get it right, or maybe you had the information kind of confused in your head, redo it, learn where it went wrong and try again. Huge believer in that. So the important thing to keep in mind here is that if you turn something in, you can redo it as many times as you want. So you're going to turn something in, I'm going to grade it, which is going to focus on giving feedback, and then you can redo the assignment based on that feedback. You don't have to. If you thought you did great the first time, my feedback was all positive, you don't want to redo it, you don't have to. But if you want to, you can. And I'll always leave tons of feedback to help guide you on redoing it. We can always meet and go over the assignment as well. So turn something in. As long as you get something in by the deadline, I'll give feedback and you can redo it. However, if you just blow through a deadline and you turn nothing in, then that's it. You can't redo it because you didn't even try the first time. There's nothing to redo. You just didn't do it. I cannot express enough the importance of turning something in. Even if the thing you turn in is a paragraph about how you don't understand the assignment or you got stuck on something, that's totally fine. If that's what you turn in, I will give you feedback on it. I will try to help you get unstuck and you can redo it. So turn something in by the deadline, anything, something of any kind of substance. It can be an explanation of where you're stuck, or it can be an outline of what you want to do. Just something that I can give feedback on, and then you can redo the assignments. If you turn nothing in, I'll just give you a 0, and that's it. If for some reason you can't get something in, things happen, I get it. Let me know as soon as you can before the deadline that you're not going to get it in, and we'll work it out between us, okay? So cannot stress enough, do not blow through deadlines. Along those lines, every week, to make sure that we kind of all know what's going on and that there's a connection between you and your work and me and my coordination of the course, there's going to be weekly check-ins. So every week I will have some sort of small activity that you need to do. Some weeks it will just be send me an email and tell me what you're up to. But each week I'll give you something that you need to do just to stay connected with me, so I know that you're there and I know that you're following along in the course and that we're all on the same page. These are not considered assignments, so you don't get to redo these again, right? It's just time-based. This week you need to do X. If you do it, you get the points. If you don't, you don't. So just keep in mind each week that you'll have to do something that connects you to this course and lets me know that you're still actively involved in it. Try your best. You don't need to get things right the first time. I talked about this with that first piece on mastery learning. I don't expect you to get stuff done right the first time. If you do, that's awesome, and I'll be really impressed. But if you don't, that's totally fine. I rarely get things right the first time. I just expect you to try. I just expect you to do something. If you are stuck, don't just do nothing. Maybe write out where you think you're stuck, or write out a couple questions about what you're stuck on. Just put some effort into each week's assignment. And then finally, I want you to make the class and the assignments yours. I'm not trying to make a bunch of little mini-me's in the world, so I'm never going to give you assignments where it's like, I want you to create a digital media story about some story I care about. I want you to pick things that you care about. You have a lot of freedom in this course. The final project, for example, you get to pick the subject, the topic. You get to pick so many aspects of it. Pick things that are pick things that you're actually interested in. Don't feel like you have to try to pick things I care about or that I would be impressed by. I want you to make this stuff yours. At the end of the day, you have to put the effort into this class, and when you walk away from the class, I want you to feel like you did something in it that you cared about. Don't worry about whether I'm going to find it interesting or anything like that. I want you to make it yours. That's everything I wanted to cover in this video. I will see you on part 3.